Well, hello and good morning. We are here in Barcelona Health Hub in Barcelona with a really nice day, and we are going to speak today about circularity, how to go circular in health tech. We are here in the webinar, organized in collaboration of Sunshine Oxygen Health Tech and Barcelona Health Hub. First of all, I would like to thank Marija Huinskamp that for her big help in all the organization and the details of so that this webinar could take place during the day of today. And today we are here to talk about, as I said, about circularity, above all, circularity. And more than circularity, how can we include circularity in our health tech companies? It doesn't matter if we're a manager, a clinician, or a technician. In the end of the day, circularity is on the edge, and it's essential that step by step we can start integrating it in our health technologies. So let me present first myself. I am Silvia Micalo. I'm a biotechnologist and health tech strategist. I'm CEO of Sunshine Oxygen Health Tech. And at the same time, I'm the author of HealthTechInnovation book that it's, this is the book, and this webinar is based on the contents of the book. I do many things during my day-to-day, and I also collaborate in the board of different companies, health techs and pharma industries, and I teach at university in between many other things. Okay, so the first thing that comes to our mind when we speak about health technology and circularity is it possible to include circularity in health tech, the circular economy in the place of health technology? Or, for example, it raises other questions like, can a healthcare system become circular? Is it true that can be really sustainable and circular? Or what about sustainable development goals? That these goals that we need to achieve by the end of 2030, are they viable or not? All these questions pop up when we think about circularity, and in the end it's a matter of thinking, is health tech open to circularity? Is really open or not? Are we or not? Maybe after this webinar, we are all going to be a bit more open to circularity. So I would ask you first of all, before starting this webinar and starting to get some insights about the main subject of the webinar, I would say take a piece of paper, please, and just write down what comes to your mind when you think about circularity. What are the main words that just pop up or arise? Just like 30 seconds, just take your phone if you will, or just if you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, just write down what comes to your mind. So, the thing is that circularity has to do with giving the value that you take and taking only what you need, the minimum that you need. So bringing all the value, giving all the sorry. So exactly, giving the value that you take and only taking what you really need. So bringing back the value that you take and only taking the minimum that you need. So when we think about circularity, it comes to our mind maybe words like globalization, recycling, why not sustain growth, like profit or expensive, who knows? All these words. Let's see in the end of this presentation. But let's continue. What does World Health Organization say about circular economy incorporated in our health tech business plans? Circular economy of our health tech business plans should pursue sustained growth over the time based on sustainable business models. So the suggestion is to incorporate sustainable business models and to keep a sustained growth over time. So where are we now? We are in a linear model of business. Our health techs more or less all of them. We are in a situation of a linear model, and we are moving towards a circular model. And what is it, a circular model? We come from the obsolete model of the take, make, and dispose, just throw away, and we are going towards a model of circularity, and which has to do with renew, remake, and share. And in the end of the day, circular equals sustainable, and sustainable and circular together means profit. And how can we incorporate this new concept in our mindset? Renew means learn from best practices. I mean, I would say there's a lot of room to innovate in health tech, and we need to learn from the best practices. This means incorporating all those circular best practices that can make or help us to improve in this field of circularity. We are going to see during this presentation a bit more best practices and real life examples that maybe can inspire you. And when we speak about remake, and if we are talking about health tech, we could say that a great example is actually the code recycling, the recycling of code. It's not coding again and again. It's just taking. We can reuse this code that is already done and reuse, remake this code, reuse what we already have, and not work again in the same line. And finally, share. It's about sharing, and sharing means accessible health data sets. Share has to do with cross-border accessible data sets, permitting these health data sets to be accessible, and accessible not only in the country, in the region, but also cross-border in different areas to help the progress of medicine. So just as an introduction, this slide, I would say how to go circular in health tech. If we need to find out which are the action points, the bullet points or action tips to incorporate this circularity in our companies, and as the World Health Organization says, to keep a sustainable growth over time in our overcrowded market, I would lift that or leverage these three pillars. We could start by SPIs, sustainable performance indicators. We all know in our companies the key performance indicators that kind of follow up or track the performance of our businesses. But also, it's interesting to incorporate in our business models as a for example, a first step to include circularity, sustainable performance indicators. Okay, and the same line. Data economy, it's a must, and the economicity of the data sets, of the healthcare data sets, is a must. There are emerging recently concepts like NFTs and others, in between others, and this economicity of the data impacts directly and indirectly the overall circularity to be able to be implemented in healthcare. And finally, and not less important, the scalability, to think from the offset global. And this means when I really conceive a new technology, a new concept, a new MVP, it doesn't need to be something big. A small thing needs you need to have in mind the scalability, how you are going to expand and cross-border with this technology since the offset. This means since the conceptualization, including also less favored populations and less favored countries. So let's start with SPIs, these sustainable performance indicators, that I would say that it's important that they are multidimensional. It's not only, for example, an SPI could be, for example, a usual SPI. We could take, for example, the big techs that we already know. They have, for example, they can have for, I think they have by as a SPI to achieve by 2025 an 80% of sustainable energy consumption and the reduction of energy consumption of the overall tech by 50% or more. This is an SPI, a quantitative, directed, and short in time. But we need to consider a broader scope when we think about SPIs. We should consider maybe productivity and environmental issues, physical and healthcare quality of life related, economicity and this quality adjusted life years, that it's like when we create our technologies or our business models, think about this life extension of the patients, but in high rates of quality of life. And one quality means 1 year of life extension or expansion, considering high rates of quality of life for the citizen or the patient. And finally, social and equity. Equity is a must when we speak about sustainability, and equity means worldwide equity, worldwide scope, fully universal access to high standards of healthcare. So we need to consider this bullet point when we think of circularity in our health techs. And I would say if you ask me to challenge these SPIs in what has to do with our health tech companies, I would say let's consider some SPIs that are less common. For example, like social vitality, SVIs, and well-being. We're going to see during this presentation some examples of these real-life examples, and considering this social, economic, and virtual scope of this social vitality and well-being SPIs. Also, why not social vulnerability? We are going to see and go through social vulnerability interactive maps also, and see what do they do and why of their existence. Finally, why not improvement of MVPs after clinical trials? We have these loops of development and we are launching MVPs, fully operative MVPs. But in the end of the day, after the clinical trials, some sustainability issues pop up and arise, like more optimization of processes and many others. Why not including them in the MVP after the clinical trial, after the testing these pilots in real patients, and fine-tuning the MVPs on a circular way? Why not seeking for validation of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, seeking this validation? Because I can say, okay, in my business plan, I include several Sustainable Development Goals, several of them, but which ones of them I'm including? How much I'm impacting on each one of the Sustainable Development Goals? Okay, well, United Nations have developed a track, equity, and monitor, and that can assess the progress of your health tech towards the consecution of Sustainable Development Goals. And we're going to see this during this presentation. But no worries, I don't have any conflict of interests, and I don't have any interest of promoting anything. Just this whole presentation is only my point of view, and as I said in the very beginning, it's based on the book HealthTechInnovation. Finally, align your health tech with global standards, situational factors such as where people grow, live, work, and when they get older, and work as they get older. All these factors should be included in our business plans to make them more circular. So here we have this US interactive map provided by the Agency for Toxic Substances, and this is a registry, ATSDR, located in the US, where in a color code, you can check out the level of vulnerability for the overall country, for the whole US. Here, I share with you this image that is extracted from the website, and you can see the different spots of social vulnerability of the different populations in a country. These parameters that are new should be incorporated and considered, at least when we develop our technologies and in our day-to-day of loops improvement in technology. This, well, I'll share with you later after this presentation the slide deck so that you can double check all this yourself and maybe come up with a question or whatever or not. But you will have it later. Don't worry about this, okay? Also here we have the Sustainable Development Goal Action Management tool that I was speaking about before. And well, it's open access. You can enter for freely and navigate a bit and get familiarized with it. The importance of it is that it tracks objectively in which state are you in the different sustainable development goals. That I leverage here a few of them that has to do maybe more directly with healthcare. Well, all of them have to do with health tech, but we can leverage a few that are a bit more directly related with healthcare. As I say, it's important that to include well, in our business models different multidisciplinary areas to cover the whole spectrum or scope. As the second pillar essential when it comes to circularity integration in our health techs, and as we are here to get to know how to go circular in health tech, this is the main topic of the presentation, we need to state and make focus on data economy, data economicity. And this has to do with data quality and accessibility. Data quality has a lot to improve. It can be improved much more. This preparation of data sets can be much better, and its accessibility. Not only when we speak about data quality, I'm not speaking about only open data sets. I'm speaking also when we prepare the AI models. Before preparing the AI models, we need to have the data sets well prepared, not after, because sometimes an easy thing that we do is, well, an easy, I wouldn't say mistake, it's a day-to-day practice and it's a normal, but getting very well prepared the data before starting the artificial intelligence model and knowing what do I want before starting the overall, to know which outcomes do I want to get from all this. Okay, and also considering cross healthcare data sets. Cross healthcare, it means cross disciplines. Why not integrating different disciplines in healthcare, not only one pathology, but several, in order to anticipate healthcare risks, considering healthcare as a holistic approach, and why not other disciplines like earth observational data sets? Why not? The environment is impacting our daily basis healthcare, so we should consider it also. Why not? And here's, all in all, these data sets are impacting health economics and outcomes research, which is a pharmacoeconomic measure that it's important to take in mind, to have it in mind when we consider our more sustainable business models, we could say. So if you ask me to challenge data economicity and find out which or what to leverage in this sense, I would say move towards inclusive data sets instead of exclusive data sets. We have now many biases in our AI models, and it has to do with not including less favored populations in our models, and this should be improved because it happens in real life examples. For example, there's I could share some with you, but for example, in the US, they found out they created in a hospital. I speak about this in my book. They had long lists of long waiting lists in a center of care, and the thing is that they created an AI model to to shorten up these long waiting lists. But they found out that in the end of the day, they had lots of biases. And the thing is that the algorithm made some biases coming from the no-shows. No-shows are people that don't come to the visit of the doctor. And the no-shows actually were these less favored populations because they couldn't manage themselves to attend the visit with the doctor. And at last minute, they couldn't attend because they had to work a bit more or whatever. They couldn't manage their time, their personal time, as much as people that maybe had a better situation. We could say cultural or social situation. So these situations happen and happen a lot, and we should well try to fix it. They did fix it. I explained it how, but well, we should consider this also. Quantum computing, it's also a leveraging point. There's a lot of room to improve. It's not only AI, it's quantum computing and AI. They can be much improved, and both disciplines can be very much all together and get better outcomes in this line. And on behalf of personalized and predictive medicine, which is where we are going to. There's no pathology burden unless it happens. So we should go very much onto the very beginning and shorten up the therapeutic window of the patient, also through that economicity. Okay. And equity. Equity above all. This is one of the key concepts when it comes to circularity, and it's a matter of leaving no real patient behind. It's important. When I say no patient left behind, it's this can be a reality in the digital age, in the health tech field, and in the healthcare field, vehiculated by technology. But we need to be the ones that through data enable all this. And finally, I would like to leverage these NFTs because they're non-fungible tokens that are more and more on the edge, and they have to do with this trackability and ownership, we could say, of data sets, healthcare data sets that are on the place of the citizen or the patient. Here, lots of that things pop up, and there are sites that think that this data set should be owned by the patient, and he as the owner should decide where these data sets and how to monetize them, how these data sets go, and and how to monetize them. If he or she shares them to a third party, a hospital, a research center, or whatever, or not, or he doesn't, or she doesn't. Okay, and it has to do a lot with patient advocacy. That but it's on the edge. But the thing is that it's an issue, a matter to discuss this monetization of NFTs, and they coexist in the NFTs model. So this pushes and pulls the medicine and puts it in jeopardy somehow. I should well, these NFTs are there, and we should address them and find out different solutions. We could say not solutions because it's not a problem, but different paths to put them on the right path towards progress of medicine. Okay. Well, here we have also examples in terms of that economicity that have to do, for example, with best practices. This is an example of what you see in the screen is an example of Ping and Good Doctor in China, in the remote regions of China. They allocate these kind of cabins, we could call them. And in less than 1 minute, any citizen, any patient in a remote area can get a fully diagnosis through a one call with the doctor that also is expanded with facial recognition and different parameters of diagnosis. And in less than 1 minute, the patient is fully diagnosed, and apart from this, fully medicated. So he can get the medication and keep it home with him. So in less than 1 minute. These are best practices that well, to consider. But as I said before, there's a lot of room, and we should bridge the best of the two we could say cutting edge technologies that we have now, which is machine learning and AI and quantum computing. When I say that the economicity, it pops up to Canadian best practices also that come and arise. For example, there's Blue Dot that predicted the Zika outbreak back in 2016, 6 months before happening, and the same in the beginning of COVID. Anticipated and predicted the 10th first cities to take place COVID in the US. Well, before happening. The same line, intakes and outtakes of data sets permit with this HealthTech site permit to people that are totally blind to recover their sight, to kind of see through these glasses, smart glasses, permitted vehiculated by that economicity. Okay. Well, and if we embrace the third pillar, and not less important, which is this scalability that should be on our mind since the very beginning, since we build our company, since we start our projects, since we conceptualize our technologies, we should think that, well, maybe it's very basic, but we are in a very big world. Sometimes we start local, but we think global. We need to think global at least. We can assess, create, start, or rise our technologies regionally. We should think that our technologies are for citizens, and citizens are worldwide, and patients do not have borders. And we should think of healthcare cross-border if it's possible, and also incorporate in our models, in our technologies, low to medium income countries, these less favored populations, and not only stay ourselves in the comfort zone of upper and medium income countries. So we should scale up and permit this scaling up, but not only scale up, but scale up cross-border. And this also has to do with very much with taking the most restrictive environment when it comes to regulatory affairs since the very beginning, and from that point on continue, because then the motorway is also it's already prepared if we start from the very beginning with the most restrictive environment. So if we challenge scalability, also this third pillar that is important to incorporate the first steps of circularity in our health tech companies. I would say corporate social responsibility, this reputation of your company from the offset, since the very beginning. The image of the company is essential, and more than this, the sense of purpose. And when we think of this sense of purpose, it's important to create umbrellas. We can say hubs of technology and partnership by shared purpose criteria. This should be the essential. And I would say to partnership in between these three parties, not only private and public, but also considering other kinds of partnerships, like, for example, NGOs, these non-profit organizations that act on behalf of the citizens, and they really have different goals than what public or private could have, and they are really interesting to be incorporated in our projects because they really can, well, bring a lot of value and a lot of scope and different goals, as I say. Well, again, global mindset, think global and act local. This is something that it's very on the edge, but it's kind of repetitive, but it's like this. We act at the local, regionally, but we need to think globally and cross-border. And building scalability, what I was saying, repeating it again, and it's nothing bad because it's important to operate in the most restrictive framework. Sometimes we can, well, some companies, some health techs can start on privileged environments, we could say, in some locations that have some environments that are comfort zone. It's easy to operate. Well, it's never easy to operate in health tech, I could say, but there are some regions that are easier than others. So if you start in easy region to operate, you need to consider that someday this can overall change. So it's important to have the essentialities covered since the very beginning, and consider testing your technologies, validating them, achieving certification registrations, and accomplishing the more restrictive frameworks that we do have. That they are there for some reason, and sometimes we're scared with them, but we should lose our fears and just embrace them, because the more that we embrace them, the easier that will be for us all. And then also, when we think about scalability, I would say keep the momentum. Thinking again about sustainability and circularity, keep the momentum when it comes to the patient journey. Find out which are the real unmet needs and cover precisely those ones. And not only those ones, but also in the right precise moment of the patient journey, since the patient is diagnosed and until it's fully recovery or chronicitization. And this keeping the momentum has to do with impacting the healthcare budget contingency. And it has to do with HEARS, health economics and outcomes research. And it's an important value or concept to take into account when we are thinking of the value of our own products and our circular value. And it's a circular value that can preserve our survival, we could say, over time. It's not only the value that we bring, it's also the impact of this value towards the whole ecosystem and the whole environment. Finally, align with global standards. We sometimes think about local healthcare plans or local, we could say, for example, I can focus my technology in one pillar of a chronic plan of health of a certain healthcare system. But we should also think about these global plans, these global mindsets. And global mindset has to do with also sustainable development goals. I think big, because the umbrella comes from there, and the guidelines and the guidelines and the guidance is there, and it's open access and it's free. And also think about these global standards. And finally, cross-border data sets. It has to do a lot very much with health tech diplomacy, that it's very much on the edge, but there's a lot to improve still. But we are doing a great job, I think. We are far better than 5 years ago. And I think that one day I believe in that one day there won't be barriers or frontiers when it comes to healthcare, because pathologies are the same here than in my neighbor country, and also in the other side of the planet. So this health tech diplomacy should be cross-border accessible and cross-border permitted, enabled, we could say. Okay, so, well, until here we've seen few concepts when it came to circularity. First of all, we highlighted what came to our minds in a personal way. We wrote down our keywords, and I hope that after this presentation, these keywords have changed a bit, or we could say maybe expanded a bit, or at least I would like that you could, from this presentation, take home a few insights, a few concepts. It's not the overall scope, but maybe some insights can be useful for you. I hope so. This was my goal of this webinar. And before leaving, we have this slide with kind of a joke. I write down circular, and kind of collecting, summarizing the key concept that we've gone through this presentation. First of all, remember that circular means sustainable and profit. Against what we could firstly think that maybe it's expenses. It's profit. It permits our sustained and sustainable growth over time. Second, indicators. It's important to track this sustainability incorporated in our health techs. It's not that I say, okay, I incorporate sustainability or circularity. It's how I measure that I really incorporate the circularity, that I'm really on the pathway of optimization of resources, SPIs. This followed by the art of reputation from the offset, from the very first moment. Corporate social responsibility and having the sense of purpose in mind also at the time of establishing partnerships. C, from cross-border scope, scalable, low to medium income countries also. This less favored population should be on the edge in our business models and in our products, in our health technologies. And we should have this in mind in all what we do. I repeat it very much, but it's not only in a managerial level, it's also in a clinician level and a technician level. When I program, I also need to have this in mind, this scalability from the offset. Unique purpose to partnershiping. When I find partners, that it's not easy at all, and it's not difficult at all either. The criteria of selection is the sense of purpose sharing. We need to have the same reason why doing what we do, and then we can start partnershiping. But objectives or goals need to be aligned. Mission goals need to be aligned when we think about partnershiping. And as I said before, not only private-public partnershiping, but also this third line of partnershiping that could be non-profit organizations like NGOs. Finally, left behind no patient. This is a utopia. It's easy to say, but hard to do. But we need to have this, include these ethics in our day-to-day practice, these inclusive models. They don't need to get rid of any patient. All of them should be included with common sense, of course, but less favored populations should be there. Accessibility of healthcare data sets, open access data sets. These should be more and more enabled and allowed. Of course, prepared, tokenized, anonymized, everything prepared and well worked. High quality of data sets. So we need to elevate the quality of the data sets, but accessible above all. Because accessibility of data set will make us all move forward to the next milestone. And finally, there's still room to innovate. We've seen some best practices, not all of them, some highlights only, but there's still room to innovate, a lot of room to innovate. And when we think of innovate, we need to think of maybe, just maybe, it's my humble opinion, impacting the qualities, because it's not only expanding the life of the patient, it's about expanding the life of the patient at high quality rates of life. And this has to do with respecting his life being, his lifestyle. We need to incorporate the technologies in his or her lifestyle, not creating a new lifestyle for him or her, respecting their well-being and kind of adapting or creating the technologies in patient than otherwise. And finally, impacting health economics and outcomes research. It's important that we also consider the economic, the circular economicity of the overall. And this is what it's going to get us to a point, at some point, of being at the end integrated in a healthcare system. In a healthcare system, I mean our technology to be integrated in what's public access, we could say. So, well, this is all from my side. Well, I'm not gonna speak much more. Well, again, this is my book, HealthTech Innovation. You can easily find it in if you make an easy search in Google through HealthTechInnovation, which is the title, or with my name, Silvia Micalo. And well, I can say that it's published by the editorial Taylor and Francis, Routledge, which is it has the headquarters and in New York, and it's worldwide accessible. You can access to this book wherever you go. Finally, I can leave you here my credentials of contact. I would be I would be glad to ping you, or that you ping me for a quick chat, or whatever you consider. And well, we are in touch. I would like now to open the round of questions and answers. I don't know if there's any questions from the attendees, but I would be glad to be able to share them, to answer them. Thank you so much. Well, when I speak about, well, one of the questions that arise is that what are SPIs? It's not an easy, it's not a silly question to ask. I didn't know what SPIs were few moments ago. It's the same. SPIs are nothing else than KPIs, including circularity on their conceptualization. When we create the KPIs in our business models, we kind of track the consecution of our objectives. We can put 100% of consecution, 75%, 50% of consecution of that goal. These are KPIs, key performance indications. We kind of follow up the performance of the company towards the consecution of a certain goal. And this happens the same with SPIs, but instead we incorporate sustainability on these performance indicators. So, for example, if we settled an objective in terms of sustainability, we can track this consecution. We can put fully 100% of consecution. It's 100% success. 75% of consecution, another rate of success. And finally, less than 50%, it's no success at all. And we might prepare a contingency plan, which is something that it's kind of often that we prepare contingency plans. If we don't achieve the expected or beloved goals at a certain time, we kind of create these contingency plans that can create, can embrace one scenario, two scenarios, or more than this. For example, if I don't achieve this objective at a certain time, I will do whatever to cope with it or to deal with it. Because sometimes these SPIs knock at our doors. It's not that us decide by ourselves that we establish these SPIs. It's the authorities that kind of suggest us to incorporate these SPIs in our technologies. And then it arrives a certain moment, because the objectives that we accomplish with sustainable performance indicators have to do also with SMART goals. They need to be a specific, measurable, time frame, as specific, measurable, realistic, and time frame. Exactly. So as they need to be smart, there's nothing to doubt on that. You accomplish or you don't accomplish, although they seem to be kind of qualitative. SPIs are quantitative, as it has to do with KPIs. It's the same. And they impact, SPIs impact the revenue of our businesses as they do KPIs. So we need to have them in mind, and do not consider that they are kind of utopia or something new or something that it's not helping us. It's helping us. And as I said in the very beginning, it's helping us to get profit in our business and to keep this sustained and sustainable flight over time. It's not that I need to think of growing very fast. I can think about this, but I need to think about growing very fast and sustain in a sustained way over time. And this is it. I don't know if there's another question. Well, so if there are no more questions, I would say please review what you wrote down in the beginning of the meeting in the paper or in the mobile phone, and make this exercise of, well, see if this webinar that I hope so has helped you with something, at least getting some insights to take home messages and to expand your company, your department, or your project. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not going to take more time from you, and well, see you soon. We are in contact. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.